How's it going, everybody? Ask me anything about politics. That is what we are doing here today. So if you got any questions about politics, let me know and I will answer them as best as I can. There's no such thing as a stupid question, so you don't got to worry about if you're gonna look silly, or if there's something that you should know that you don't know. I'm not gonna judge you for that. So you should feel free to avail yourself of any questions that you might have. I do not believe in making people feel silly or foolish or stupid for not knowing things, so I make myself available to y'all to answer your questions about politics. And we got a rogue hair happening over here. Well, yeah. All right, that's better. So yeah, ask me anything about politics, y'all. I am willing and available. I am here. I am able. I didn't know about politics when I was growing up, and I always found it very intimidating to try to figure out how to even ask about politics. And so now I am here, and I am available to answer your questions. There's going to be no judgments, no debating. You don't have to worry like, oh, if I ask this question, then I'm going to sound like a woke libtard, or oh, if I ask this question, I'm going to sound like a MAGA lunatic. There's not going to be any judgments here. You can just ask whatever thing you like, whatever is on your mind. I will answer it for you. Okay, Lancelot says Walmart and Lowe's just started. Will raise prices dramatically with Trump's tariffs. That's not a question, but I did see that news report as well. Jiffy Pin says, tariffs good or bad? It's a little simplistic. Like, we can talk about the things that are good about them and the things that are bad about them, but I think overall they are not good. User, a whole bunch of numbers, says, Biden and the Democrats are the biggest threat to democracy and world peace. It's really interesting that you would say that, considering the fact that Donald Trump just won the election. So, like, what the fuck are you even talking about, Like, what are they going to do with their zero power to hurt you, my man? Daniel M., what political system are you more aligned with? Democracy? I guess. What's up, Darian? Good to see you. Ask me anything about politics, everybody. Pretorius says, ask me anything, and you clearly are one-sided. I'm not one-sided. I take in all the data, and I have opinions that are formed based on that data. Is Doge going to be a real government department? So in order for a department to exist, like, Congress has to vote on that. Like, presidents don't just get to say that. Presidents can start committees. So, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy can have their committee of government efficiency if they want, but there already is a department of government efficiency called it's like the Department of Accountability or something, government accountability. So the answer is no, it's not going to be a real department unless Congress votes on establishing it, which is possible because, Republicans have full control of the government right now. They have the legislature, they have the executive, and they have judicial. So, if you don't want Republicans to do everything that they want to do, then I guess we're fucked. But if that all sounds great to you, then, congratulations. The next 4 years, it is going to be exactly what you want, so we'll see how things go, I guess. Daniel M., what would taking the Department of Education benefit low-income families? It would not benefit low-income families. It would fuck them over, because a lot of funding that would go to programs that help low-income families would suddenly be gone. G Nugget, all have appropriate responsibilities. Don't know what that's in reference to. Ethan B, who do you think should run in 2028 for both sides? I'm not really into, predicting who should run for what office in the future. Like, I'd much rather talk about, like, the things that are happening today. Healed17 says, I think you're missing the opportunity for Democrats. How do you figure? Jiffy Pin says, religion divides more than unites. Agree or disagree? I think religion can be a great thing, but I think that if you look at, if you take, like, the tally of hurt versus help of religion overall, I think probably the net is hurt, but, I believe in freedom of religion, but I also believe in freedom from religion. Why won't you answer my question about Israelis owning our government? Because they don't own our government. I think that AIPAC has a huge influence over our government. I think that money has a huge influence over our government, but Israelis do not own our government. Healed17, we can put up almost anyone and win in 4 years. I don't know if that is true. If the states take over education, would that better the quality and output? I don't think so. I mean, the states already have a lot of control over the curriculum. The Department of Education supplies funding for programs that help, disabled people, people from low-income families, people who English is not their first language, stuff like that. All right. All right, this guy says, unemployment detected. End live now to avoid suspension. I'm not unemployed, but you are blocked, so that's pretty fun. Let's see here. Can anyone explain tariffs to me? I can. Is your question, what are tariffs? Or is the question, do humans exist that can explain it to you? Because the answer to both of those is yes. Let's see here. Is Trump a threat to us? The answer is yes. Why is Biden starting World War III? He's not. Tariffs are taxes that the government puts on goods that are coming into America from other countries. So if China has a computer that Best Buy wants to buy and then sell to us, it would be an additional tax that Best Buy has to pay that will then be handed off to the consumer. So that computer will then become more expensive because Best Buy is going to have to pay more money to get that computer over here. But it's also not just finished goods. Like if there's silicon or lumber or lithium that we need from other countries, like that's going to increase the cost of any good that uses those things. Because, as much as you would like America to be a completely self-sustaining force, we don't have all the things that we need just here within our borders. And so if you want goods that consist of components that may or may not come from other countries, then you should maybe not want tariffs because that's going to increase the cost of those goods. Now, tariffs used to be a little bit more commonplace, but we have started moving towards a more global economy. And, I think that is a net positive. Being able to get goods from other countries, I think, is generally a good thing. And reaching a more global agreements with other countries is generally a good thing. It kind of increases the idea of global peace and working together on things. And putting in tariffs just kind of sort of like more firmly establishes our separation as countries. And I feel like that is not as good of a unifying force. Aside from the fact that it's kind of like economically is going to fuck us in the long run. It's going to increase the cost of goods. It's going to increase inflation. It's going to decrease our GDP because other countries are not going to be able to get our goods as much. So we're not going to be able to sell as much stuff to other countries. It's a whole fucking thing. All right. Let's see here. This guy just says Trump 2024. I don't care if you have different opinions than me, but like if you just put shit like that, then I'm going to block you because like be a productive part of the conversation, guys. Daffy18 says, say something about Project 2025. It's terrible. Republicans lied about it. They said that it wasn't the plan, but now that Trump is elected, they're like, actually, yeah, it is the plan. And Trump is nominating a bunch of authors of Project 2025 and people that work for the Heritage Foundation to be in his cabinet and run various government agencies. So yeah, they lied about it. I told you guys they were lying about it. I don't know why nobody fucking believed me that they were lying about it, but yeah, they lied about it and now we're fucked. Adam Almengual says, are illegal immigrants bad for the economy? No. On the net, they are positive because they pay more in taxes than they take out in social services. Let's see here. X to the L says, how do you feel about MAGA using Madonna's Like a Prayer as a Trump victory song? I'm pretty sure Madonna is going to have a problem with that. Pretty much, yeah, every song that Trump has used, at his rallies have been met with very, aggressive cease and desist orders. Lady Liberty, if you didn't realize Project 2025 was the plan, I have some swampland in Florida to sell you. Yeah, no arguments here, man. Let's see here. Jiffy Pin, wouldn't any religious nationalism be bad for everyone, including those religious believers? Yeah, I think so. That's the reason why separation of church and state is one of our founding principles. But, Republicans don't like that because they want to have a, Christian dictatorship. And so, that's what's coming down the pike. Good luck, everybody. Okay, this guy just says, Trump is your daddy. No, he's your daddy. That's the reason why you are spamming my comments with pro-Trump stuff. Lizzie says, can you explain what FAFO is for red voters? That would be the Freedom actually don't. I thought that was the Freedom of Information Act, but that's not the same abbreviation. Tell me what those letters mean. I'll tell you what it is. Let's see here. Can you explain abortion is murder for the blue? Well, I don't believe that abortion is murder. But do you think that having women die of preventable pregnancy complications, is that murder? Because that's what the Republican abortion bans are doing, you know? Let's see here. Fuck around and find out. Thank you, Brooke. I appreciate that. I thought that was like, I thought that was like a government agency, and I was like, oh man, I really don't like it when people ask me questions that I don't know on my Ask Me Anything About Politics live stream, because I feel like I don't like looking like an idiot, you know? And so yeah, fuck around and find out. You know, I guess we're gonna find out. Well, here's the thing, guys, is that the information environment does not work for fuck around and find out, because no matter what happens, Donald Trump is going to say that it's somebody else's fault. And then the media sphere, be it the right-wing media or the paid, you know, Republican hacks like Tim Pool and, you know, fucking Tucker Carlson and Bill O'Reilly and all those fucking goons, are all going to go on there and say that Trump is right, this is the Democrats' fault, and then there's going to be a whole bunch of influencers on the various social media channels who are going to have different levels of agreeing and disagreeing with that, and it's going to muddy the water, and so there's never going to be a consensus on whose fault it is. Like, COVID was a way bigger problem than it needed to be because of Trump, because he fucked up the global response and he fucked up the national response. He let it escape from China. We had an agency set up to stop it in China. He dissolved it. And then when it got to America, he basically said every state for themselves. He was like fucking Isolde, what the fucking the dude's name in you know, Return of the King, when he's like, save yourselves, abandon your posts, you know, run for your lives. That was his national COVID policy, was fuck off, do whatever you guys want to do, you know, and then lied about it and said that it was fine, you know. But there's also, and because of the information sphere that we're living in, there's no national consensus about who fucked up COVID. You know, there are people who believe that COVID wasn't real. There are people who believe that, you know, COVID, no president could have done a better job. There are people who believe that, you know, Trump fucked it up. People who accurately believe that Trump fucked it up. You know, there are people that say that Trump had a great economy until COVID, which wasn't his fault. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? It wasn't his fault, you know? So, yeah, I'm not really sure that fuck around and find out is going to happen, you know? Because there's always going to be somebody that the brainwashed masses are going to put the blame on, except for Republicans and Donald Trump, which is, in my opinion, is where the blame squarely belongs. Let's see here. Biden just allowed long-range missiles when he is in cognitive decline. Well, he's not going to be aiming the long-range missiles, Vision USA. Low Gang says, what's your thoughts on the likelihood of a military draft occurring in the next, say, 20 years? I don't know, man. That's like, there's so many things that can happen in the next 20 years. Like, if Project 2025 is fully enacted, I do not know that we are going to be able to have free and fair elections going forward. I do not know that we're going to have an independent media going forward if everything that's written about in Project 2025 is enacted. So, you know, is there a world in which a fully authoritarian Republican Party institutes a draft so that we can fight a whole bunch of wars for resources in 20 years? Like, I don't know, maybe, probably. What I have come to understand about the Republican Party is if they want to do something and they can do something, they will. And so, yeah, you know, and if it fucks over poor people and minorities, then yeah, you know, so I don't know. Eco Devet says, can they make Trump sign the oath and do background checks on his cabinet? They can't make Trump do anything. You know, we have missed our opportunity to make Trump do anything. You know, Trump does whatever the fuck he wants. And the only levers of power that we had were the Justice Department to hold them accountable for all the laws that he broke. But y'all didn't vote for Harris for whatever fucking reason, and now he is completely escaping accountability for every shitty and illegal thing that he has ever done. So yeah, there's no way we can stop him from doing illegal things now that he's in office because, number one, he's the president and we have a standing policy around indicting sitting presidents. Also, his Supreme Court, the extreme right-wing Supreme Court that he installed, found that presidents are immune from legal accountability for the things that they do in office, so long as they are quote unquote official acts. And who decides what those official acts are? Well, the extreme right wing Supreme Court that Trump installed. So yeah, if that was something that you wanted, sorry. Sorry guys, maybe you should have worked harder. I was working my ass off to try to get Harris elected, and part of the reason why was because I was like, I think that Trump should be held accountable for all the illegal shit that he's done, but I guess America didn't see that as a fucking priority because look at where we are, Matt K, how do you bash Trump while Biden is starting World War III? He's not starting World War III. Irrepressible AF, why, in your opinion, did LBJ play the Dems as he did? I do not know that Lyndon B. Johnson played the Democratic Party. Like, what are you talking about, man? Are you talking about the fact that he signed the Equality Amendment or whatever the fuck that thing was called? That is when he said the Democrats just lost the South. Is that what you're talking about? Let's see here. Biden is starting World War III as we speak. No, he's not. Riches with Ryan says, you think recess appointments will happen? I don't know. The deck is stacked in a way where Trump can do whatever the fuck he wants. The right-wing House is much more MAGA than the right-wing Senate right now. And the only thing that he needs for there to be recess appointments is for the House to adjourn. And that's it. Because even if the Senate doesn't adjourn, the part of the Constitution that allows for recess appointments says that if there's a disagreement between the two houses on whether or not the houses should adjourn, then the president gets to decide if the houses will adjourn. And so, Mike Johnson, who is firmly MAGA and will do whatever the fuck Daddy Trump tells him to do, I believe is fully capable and willing to recess the House just so that Daddy Trump can get his recess appointments. But I think the bigger question is, why does he need recess appointments? Because he has the Senate. Is it because he is going to be nominating people who are so fucking batshit bananas, crazy, and unqualified, and fully in the bag for Donald Trump, and will do whatever fucking lawless shit that he wants, investigating his political his political rivals and shit like that? That to me is the most likely scenario, is that he just doesn't want to be questioned about anything. He wants to grab as much power as he possibly can. He is a fucking raptor testing the cages. He is a 3-year-old child just seeing what he can fucking get away with, So I think that the odds are that he will get his recess appointments, but I believe that the Senate is going to put up a good fight to see, to try and stop the recess appointments. Let's see here. You're just mad he's gonna prosecute everybody. MAGA is glad. I don't know what you're trying to say here, JMC. I'm mad he's gonna prosecute everybody. I'm mad that he's gonna prosecute. I don't know if he's gonna prosecute, but I will be upset if he insists on a bunch of sham investigations for people that actually didn't commit crimes. That is what I will be upset about. And I think that we should all be upset about that, Let's see here. Mandy Kidwell Parkins says, why do we not have a politics-only news station that is non-biased and fact-checked? I mean, let's see here. So every human being is biased. The mainstream news organizations and the legacy news organizations, they have a policy towards journalistic integrity. Like they try to overcome their bias in order to report the news as factually and as opinion-free as humanly possible. They fail because they're humans, but that is what they try to do at least. Now, they are biased in addition to being biased. They're human biased. They're also biased towards a profit motive. So they need to make money for their, corporate owners. And, part of that is, trying to be as journalistically pure and unbiased as humanly possible. But part of that is, we got to write sensational headlines and make people click and get eyeballs and shit like that. So that's the mainstream media and that's the legacy media. But then there's also right-wing media, which, you know, they don't really give a shit about journalistic integrity. They don't really give a shit about accuracy, because they just need to do what their audience wants, which is just the crazy shit, you know, like the Obama is a Muslim terrorist, and Hunter's laptop, and Seth Rich was murdered by the Clintons, you know, like all that crazy garbage. Dominion voting machines that they had to pay like $1 billion settlement for because they were obviously making that shit up, you know. And then there's, you know, like influencers and shit like that. So the answer is, like, you know, if we had like a news organization that was like state run, that had like some real teeth in the legislation that said, like, you can't fuck with this news organization. They are funded by the government. You can't fuck with the funding. You can't tell them what to cover. They have to just be 100% journalistically independent. I think that would be great. I would worry that it would be weaponized by an authoritarian government like we currently have now. But I don't know. Maybe a lawyer could write a version of that bill that would help for it to exist in a way that is fully independent. Let's see here. Incoming Mike Lindell for head of Department of Mysteries. Yeah, that's pretty funny. His number one mystery is, why are my pillows so amazing? Let's see here. How do we mitigate polarization? I think talking to people in person is probably the best way. And I think voting against Republicans is also, because the Republican Party is the party that is forcing through this polarization. Like, they are the ones who are, you know, saying the left are cucks and baby killers and soy boys, and they're starting World War III, as you can see in my live, and Biden has dementia, and Harris is DEI, and you know, fucking all that garbage, you know. And you can if anybody's trying to come at me with all the shit that Democrats have said about Republican, you can fucking miss me with that shit, because for decades Democrats were trying to be the party of responsibility and taking the high road and shit like that. And, you know, just because we're calling fascist does not mean that we're being divisive. Let's see here. Ho, please, says, what are the conspiracy theorists on here lying about today? Oh, Biden starting World War III. That is it. Let's see here. Lizzie, I already talked about tariffs, so I'm going to move away from that. Let's see here. Danny McElhanan says, if Trump controls the media, America will become Russia. I mean, there's nothing stopping him at this point, you know, like, the fella that he has appointed to run the FTC is one of the authors of Project 2025, specifically the guy who wrote the section on what I would do if I ran the FTC. And what he's talking about is going after media organizations for quote-unquote liberal propaganda, for saying things that Daddy Trump does not like. They're going to threaten the license of NBC and ABC and CNN and the Associated Press and any American news organization that they can put their weight against, they will. And, you know, there's a sort of thing that happens in dictatorships where people will sort of comply before they are forced to comply, which I desperately hope that our news organizations don't do. But I mean, we're already seeing it. Like, you know, Morning Joe just went over to the White House to, you know, kiss Trump's ass and try to maintain access to their news, you know, sources over there and shit like that. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's a scary time to be living in America, you know. Let's see here. Deborah Murphy Patton says, true about past Democrats, but now they destroyed America with all abominations. I'm not really sure what you mean about that, Deborah Murphy Patton. Let's see here. Johanna McNee says the fairness doctrine ended under Reagan. This ended real news. Yeah, I mean, I do not think that Reagan should have done that, but it was also part of his plan to, you know, further legitimize the radical right. Let's see here. Popalicious, what you think will happen to the U.S. since Ukraine okayed the missile attack? I don't think anything's going to happen to the United States because of that. I think that Putin understands that Trump is on his way into office, and Trump is going to do whatever Daddy Putin tells him to do. And so, you know, Putin's just going to, you know, he's going to saber rattle, he's going to bluster and shit like that. And then he's going to wait until Trump removes all funding from Ukraine, and then he's going to, you know, fully annex the Ukraine and potentially move into other countries. Let's see here. Julian, what are both political parties' stances on intellectual property law? That is, unfortunately, I'm not well versed in that. I don't know enough about that to opine, unfortunately. I will say this, though, Julian. Like, from what little I remember about this, the Disney Corporation was lobbying the Republican Party hard to allow their copyright to last longer than was legally allowed. Like the reason why, people were getting their asses sued to hell if they tried to like paint a Disney character on their elementary school was because of that law. Like when certain things exist for a long enough time, they're supposed to enter the public domain. And it seems as though giant corporations who have a vested interest in maintaining their copyright, protections over their, their IP, they seem to be the ones that are lobbying the Republican Party to allow them to maintain that status. And, if you look at the history of it, like the Republican Party is more firmly in the bag of the wealthy and giant corporations. So my guess is that the Republican Party is more in the bag for corporations maintaining their copyrights than the Democratic Party is. But that's I'm shooting from the hip there. Dylan, would you still vote for Harris over Trump if she was the felon? I mean, there's a million reasons why Harris was a better choice than Trump. And only one of them was the fact that he was a felon and she was not. But yeah, all things being equal, he's not a felon anymore, but she is. There are still 999,999 reasons why she would still be a better president than Donald Trump. So yeah, the answer is yes. Let's see here. WizKid says Trump was a much better choice. No, he wasn't. Tessa, name one without talking about him. Name one reason why she was better. Oh, all right. Let's see here. She had a plan for reducing costs. There you go. Trump didn't. Candace, the dog groomer. What do you think about Lakeland Riley? I actually don't know who that is. Let's see here. All right. This is a sexist propaganda narrative. Fantastic. Daniel, is it racist to say that Oklahoma is uneducated? I don't know why it would be racist to say that Oklahoma is uneducated. I mean, Oklahoma is not a single race state as far as I know. I mean, maybe if there's a reason why you think Oklahoma is uneducated that has to do with race, then maybe, yeah. But I think, just that by itself is not. Briggs says Harris is pitiful. It's like, what are you even doing here, man? Like, you won. Is it really important that you spread that narrative still? Let's see here. Olivier, what are your predictions on Trump's sentencing coming up at the end of the month? I mean, I just saw the news story that the what do you call it? The hearing for his sentencing was canceled or delayed or something like that. So yeah, I don't have any high hopes that there's going to be any legal accountability for Trump. What's up, lovely Tati? Good to see you here again. Jiffy Pin, Oklahoma just brought religion back to school classrooms and underperforms nationally. I don't. I'm not going to say those two things are completely unrelated. Dylan, did Dems lose because they missed moderates? No, I think Dems lost because there was a lot of. First of all, there's an incumbency bias that was felt around the globe. Every party that ran a candidate this year that was an incumbent in every nation, regardless of whether they were right-leaning or left-leaning, every one of them lost their election this year. And that hasn't happened since World War II. So there was an incumbency bias. People were really upset about inflation, which affected, pretty much every country in the world. America less so than every other country. We had the lowest post-COVID inflation in the industrialized world. Thank you very much to the Biden administration for that. So yeah, there was that. And then there's also like a lot of don't vote propaganda that was being spread on social media. Things like she hasn't earned my vote. Both parties are the same. Voting doesn't do anything. I don't vote. It will be a vote against the two-party system, shit like that. A lot of people who said that they were progressives or moderates or independents were pushing these narratives that I think convinced a lot of people not to vote. And that's the reason why there were 6 million fewer voters this election than there were in 2020. Let's see here. Paul Pencava Jr. says, this election won't be over for 4 years, will it? I'm not really sure what you mean by that, Paul Pencava. The election seems to be over, but we're going to be suffering from the consequences of it for many, many years to come. Lizzie, thoughts on inflation 2025? Every economist is saying it's going to happen if the tariffs occur the way that Trump says that they're going to occur. But, with Trump, you never really know if he's going to actually do the thing that he said he's going to do. If it hurts working class people, then I think it's a safe bet to say that he will do something. So, I think the odds are that are going to have the tariffs, and I think the odds are that we are going to have inflation. Let's see here. Is equality a justice for all people a radical belief? I need you to rephrase that. Let's see here. Alex says birthright citizenship. It is threatened. It is threatened. Lovely Tati, did you see Elon got into an argument with one of Trump's advisors? Yeah, they're all, like, they understand that Trump is an extremely old person with a very unhealthy diet, so they're all jockeying for position. They want to be in the best possible position to take over when he, and also they want power, and he is a useful idiot. He is an easily flattered and manipulated human being. So all of them are jockeying for the right, to sit at the right hand of the father, and so they can have as much influence and corruption as they possibly can get away with. Let's see here. Mandy Kidwell Parkin, do you know if it's true that Trump plans to take away the $35 insulin cap? I'm not sure if he can take that away, and I haven't heard him say that he's going to. So I don't want to opine on that, but what I have, the bet that I have made that has paid off the most is are Republicans and are Trump going to do a shitty thing? That is the bet that has made me the most money, figuratively. I don't actually bet on that. So yeah, if there's a shitty thing that you think that you're worried about is going to happen, bet on it happening. That is my general philosophy about that. Carter, can he do a third term? Legally, no. Politically, absolutely. He has the House, he has the Senate, he has the Supreme Court. He will run for a third term. I do not think that there's anything that I am more confident of. He floated it in his first term that he was going to, be a president for life. He said that other presidents for life, he said that was a great thing. He liked that. And he already made the joke about like, oh, maybe Congress could do something if they really want me to stick around, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, at the moment, he cannot, but I believe he's going to try. And if he maintains the kind of electoral dominance that he has with the Senate and the House, then, I believe that it is well within his ability to rig it so that he can stick around. But yeah, it just all depends on the activism of the voting populace and if we can get people to actually show up and vote against that sort of shit. Let's see here. Annoy You Thought It too says, Marie, if Social Security goes away, will we still have to pay for it? Will we still have to pay into it? I don't think so. Let's see here. Yash, is it propaganda, intellectually disingenuous to say we have a racial equality and justice in America? I believe that it is disingenuous and inaccurate to say that we have racial equality and justice in America. I think that is one of the most easily provable things is that we do not have racial equality and justice in this country. Lizzie, do you think Trump will get impeached again? Not so long as he has control of the House and the Senate. Krasko, if it runs out, they'll just have us keep paying into it as another tax. Yeah, maybe, where corruption is concerned, I don't put anything past this Republican administration. Laura J.H., no, it's a gift to the corporations to stop the payroll tax. Yeah, that could do it. Use a whole bunch of numbers, then prove it. What are the facts to back up your point of racial inequality? I guess look around, open your eyes, and look. Brandon Marketflow, does Social Security meet the definition of a Ponzi scheme? No, it does not. Rick D, Trump going to act out of Obama playbook and run the show for the next 12 years. That is a factually inaccurate thing. Obama did not run the country for 12 years. He was only president for 8 years, and most of that time he did not have control of Congress or the Supreme Court. So you can miss me with that bullshit. Olivivid says, in Trump's homeless plan, are the tent cities just an internment camp? Do I think so? There's a possibility that we're going to see internment camps for the mass deportations that Trump is talking about. There's the Supreme Court has already found that living on the street is illegal. So just being homeless is now illegal. Congratulations, everybody. So yeah, if you cannot afford to live in a house and you are then arrested for living on the streets, I do not think that it is a far stretch to assume that you could end up working in like a mandatory work camp type of situation. That's obviously not something that's going to happen on day one, but it is the sort of policy that Republicans are about. So, I'm not going to I'm not going to say that any Republican has forwarded that policy plan. I'm not saying that anybody has admitted to that. I'm just saying it tracks with everything that they have said and done in the past. Let's see here. Kip Snook says Trump will return to a more powerful office that is effectively immune from unconstitutional lawfare. That is correct, Kip Snook. And I believe that your all caps lock comment is conveying the appropriate amount of fear and upsettedness. That is how I feel in my heart as well. The screaming that you are doing digitally, that is going on in here, man. Q says, what do you think about the Israeli lobby controlling our government, media, academia, and finance? That is a conspiracy theory. It's an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, and so I would encourage you not to spread that narrative around. Tiffany, when they put all the ADHD kids in camps, who will run the websites and the apps? Excellent question. Michael O'Toole, is it possible to be socially conservative and economically liberal? Are we just fucking with me today, guys? Like, does anybody have any actual questions they want to answer? Mandy Kidwell Parkin, this election made me lose my faith in humanity completely. Is there really any hope anymore? There is. There 100% is, Mandy. Chris Hayes has an excellent podcast called Why Is This Happening? Not this most recent episode, but the episode right before this. He was talking with somebody who is an expert in authoritarian governments, and they were talking about the hope that we do have for the future. So I would recommend, if anybody is despairing out there, to listen to that, because I found that to be very inspiring, and it really helped me a lot with some of my doomerism. Let's see here. Kel, when will the prices going up? If Trump institutes the tariffs that he says that he's going to, that is when the prices will start going up. And I actually did read that corporations are already preparing to start raising prices for that. Tiffany, should I buy a car before January? If you need a new car, then now is the time to do it. Laura, do you like Positive America? Very much so. Let's see here. AIPAC does control our blank and a couple other governments with influence and money. They influence our governments, but they do not control our governments. K. Jeff M., do you think Biden should be making decisions? I don't see why not. He's the president. Let's see here. Mary Fox says my AT&T bill went up $15. Is that recent? Like because of the proposed tariffs? Jenna, what do you think of Ukraine using American missiles on Russia? I mean, I believe in supporting Ukraine. Everything that we have done to support Ukraine, Putin has said he's going to start using nuclear weapons because of, and he hasn't started using nuclear weapons because of any of it. So he likes to do a lot of saber rattling. He likes to try to show off his muscles and his nuclear weapons and say he's going to bring doom and gloom. But, I believe that he is subject to the same political forces that every other nation is that isn't using nuclear weapons right now. But, maybe that will change when Trump comes into office and Trump removes all of the help that we were giving to Ukraine. Like, who the fuck knows what's going to happen at that point? I don't love the idea that our president, who is firmly in the bag for Vladimir Putin, is going to be in control of our military. And so Putin's basically going to be in control of our military and his military. Let's see here. Amy Fowler, how much will Trump hurt the Palestinians? I would say 1,000 times more than they are currently being hurt. Brandon Wilson 807, why would we ask you? Are you qualified to answer? I mean, I know a lot of stuff. You don't have to be here. You don't have to ask me anything if you don't want to. Lizzie, do you think Biden helped the economy? Yeah, but more importantly, like every Nobel Prize winning economist and Goldman Sachs said so. He brought inflation back down from 9% to 2.4%, which is where economists say is the best spot for it to be. And I believe, I shouldn't say this. I shouldn't say I believe like it's my opinion, but it is, I think the most cogent argument for why we even got up to 9% inflation was because of the mistakes that Trump made when he was in office. And I have run through all the details of that on all of my lives. I'm happy to do it again. But, if nobody asks for it, I'm not going to go into it because honestly, I'm a little tired of going all over all of it, Candace the Dog Groomer, how do you feel about illegal aliens coming over here and hurting our people? I don't like it when anybody hurts any people, but the fact is that migrants from other countries hurt and do violent crimes less than the people who just fucking live here, Candace the Dog Groomer. So, if you have a problem with violence or people getting hurt, like, why aren't you upset about the American citizens that are doing it? Why are you more upset about people that are here from other countries doing it instead, And I think we need to get rid of this narrative that, there's this like invading army of, military age young men with big, thick, strong arms and legs who are going to punch all of our white women. It's fear mongering utter bullshit. Most 99% of all migrants are just looking for a better life because they're trying to leave a country that has fallen into despotism, or they're trying to make it so that their children don't grow up and are forced to join cartels and shit like that. And, we do anything for our children. We do anything to make sure that our children are safe. So yeah, coming into America illegally and trying to get a better life for them, I don't believe that they should be punished more than regular for that. And that includes not having their children fucking ripped away from them and then deported to a country that they've never even fucking been to in their fucking life. All right, Becca McCaw. Well, that's what Trump says, and it took him into the most important position. I'm not really sure what you mean by that, Becca. Overstreet Family Fitness, what will happen with student loans if the Department of Education is eliminated? I do not know that they are intimately related. Perhaps the Department of Education runs the loans. But I believe it is the Republican position that everybody has to pay their student loans. And so, student loans will remain. Tori Caswell, you can find a 4-page brochure about Project 2025 on Defense of Democracy homepage. Yeah, you can look that up. David Odd, think Trump will blackmail Zelensky into making up false charges against Biden. I don't know why he would do that again. He doesn't need to do anything to help Ukraine anymore. He has full control of government. He has the SCOTUS. He can get into office day one and say, fuck Ukraine, and all hail Vladimir Putin. There's literally nothing stopping him from doing that. Tiffany, do you think they'll actually eliminate the Department of Education? I'm not sure. It would be difficult. From everything that I have read about it, it seems as though you need Congress to help you do that. And yes, he does have full control of Congress, but the Senate, which is the place where legislation goes to die because you need 60 votes to accomplish anything, and Republicans have a majority, but not a filibuster-proof majority. And they're also much more, They're also much more moderate than the House. I believe that they are not going to be able to shut down the Department of Education without the Senate, and I do not believe the Senate wants to do that. All right, let's see here. The other Jen, they manage all the federal student loan applications. Well, they will. Hey, Zigarde, good to see you again. What's up? They manage all the federal student loan applications. Thank you for clearing that up for me, the other Jen. But yeah, if they get rid of the Department of Education, I believe that the Republican Party still wants all of those student loans paid because they want people to be living under the yoke of insurmountable debt because it makes people desperate and it forces them to take whatever shitty jobs that they can get. And having an uneducated and desperate population is exactly what the Republican Party wants. Let's see here. The other Jen, they also protect children with disabilities. That is accurate. Tori Caswell, you can find a 30-page political strategy guide on indivisible.org homepage. This is all great information, Tori Caswell. Thank you for being here and letting people know about it. Priscilla, a whole bunch of numbers, says, why is Trump being or thinking he can use military to attack the American people? Because he wants to. Like all the other fascist dictators that he looks up to do that sort of thing. They have military parades and they use their military against their own citizens and shit like that. And he wants to do that. He wants to be that. So he is going to try to do that. And that is the reason why he is staffing his government with loyalists and sycophants and ass kissers who will just do whatever the fuck he tells them to do. It is the reason why they're thinking about holding like military tribunals to get anybody out of military leadership who isn't a fucking MAGA loyalist. That is terrifying, man. Imagine the most MAGA person that getting to decide whether or not we shoot protesters, getting to decide whether or not we have tanks rolling down American streets, ripping people out of their fucking homes. That's what Trump wants. And I told you. I told you guys. I've been telling you guys this for years, and I guess nobody fucking listened to me. No, Hart says, thoughts on him supposedly enacting martial law on day one? I think he's going to try, He's going to declare he says he's going to declare a national emergency, which he would need 2/3 of Congress to stop him from doing that. You would need SCOTUS to stop him from doing that, but they're not going to stop him from doing that. The only thing that's stopping him is if he wants to, and it seems like he wants to. So, Harvey, thoughts on Pentagon failing audits for 8 years. Yeah, the military-industrial complex is not great. You know, there's a lot of waste there. I'm sure there's a lot of embezzlement there, but it's very difficult to legislate the Pentagon, because if you try, then you get labeled as a squishy cuck liberal who doesn't care about national security. And the Republican Party is really the only party that can, because they're the party of tough guns and war and shit like that. But they're not going to, because they're firmly in the bag for military-industrial complex, for all their fucking, you know, weapons manufacturers and all those juicy government contracts for building bombs and tanks and shit like that. So yeah, we can either, you know, get rid, when somebody tries to paint Democrats as the liberal squishy party that just believes in peace and love and hugging Hamas and crying with them, y'all can stop spreading that narrative. Y'all can stop believing that, and then maybe we can get a strong Democratic Party in office that will actually hold the Pentagon's feet to the fire. But until you guys continue with these bullshit anti-left-wing narratives, then we're never going to see any change in the fucking Pentagon. Because number one, you're not going to be electing Democrats. And number two, when Democrats do get in office and they fucking try something, and then the mainstream media is going to go crazy about, oh my God, they're trying to tear down the military, we're going to be so much less safe, and then everybody's going to fucking lose their mind and vote for Republicans again. Like, that's just the cycle, guys. Y'all got to recognize when you're being spoon-fed narratives that are strategically made in order to, take power away from the left wing of this country, you know? So yeah, if that's something that you care about, like, don't vote for Republicans, because Republicans are not going to do anything to rein in the military, you know? Let's see here. Okay. Tory Tunes, can they really take away Social Security? Absolutely. Let's see here. Craig D, warmonger Cheney backed Kamala. Yeah, but that's not because they had similar policies. They were backing Kamala because Cheney, for as shitty of a human being he was just a soft fascist, and he did not believe that we should have a hard fascist in office. And so all these Republicans that were coming out for Harris were not saying that we have similar policies. They were saying Harris is a not crazy person who is not corrupt, and so we should vote for her instead. And I'm saying this despite the fact that we have policy differences, because it is that important that we stop Donald Trump. But y'all didn't listen to anybody. You didn't listen to leftists. You didn't listen to fucking reformed Republicans. You didn't listen to moderates. You didn't listen to fucking anybody. You just fucking voted for Donald Trump. Let's see here. Thoughts on Trump's eliminating income tax, asked Lizzie. I mean, it's just a giveaway to rich people, you know. Getting rid of income tax and just increasing sales tax only hurts working class people and poor people. And, you know, that is the ethos of the Republican Party, is help the rich, help the giant corporations, fuck everybody else, and then hopefully we will have wage slave labor again in the future. And then we'll also have prison slave labor in the future. And then we won't have to worry about paying anybody. We could just be really rich people, and we could throw our money. We have money fights with each other and do tons of cocaine and all the great, and have Lambos. We can crash our Lambos into each other. It'll be super fun. We can crash Lambos into poor people. And, you know, we have SCOTUS, so we're not going to go to jail for that shit. It's going to be so fun. Are you guys looking forward to that new sport where rich people run over poor people with their expensive luxury cars? Because that is the future that Republicans want, everybody. Let's see here. Kelly, removing income tax will help the lower and middle class. Well, no, not if they increase. First of all, no, because they will increase sales tax to make up for that. And, you know, poor people still need to buy food and shit like that. That's number one. Number two is that when you decrease the tax revenue that goes into our government, we then have to sacrifice programs that help the middle class and below. And so that is another reason why the Republicans have such a fucking hard-on for cutting taxes, is because they want to get rid of the social programs that help people. They want to get rid of welfare. They want to get rid of Social Security. They want to get rid of Medicare and Medicaid. Anything that helps poor people not starve to death on the fucking street, they want to get rid of. Because that's more money that could just be sitting in their rich fucking asshole friends' pockets. Let's see here. Green Irish Ice says taxes is how you pay for everything. Exactly. Let's see here, having some connection issues. Over on Twitch, we got Havara transfer agreement. Is that why Harris had so many billionaire donors? That is not accurate, Havara. 75% of all donations that came from billionaires this election cycle went to Republicans and Republican candidates. Let's see here. Amanda Rodriguez, what about the Affordable Care Act? He's going to try to repeal it again. You know, he'll need Congress, and Congress is a lot more MAGA than it was in 2016 when he tried to do that the first time. So yeah, it's probably going to be gone. Let's see here. Brandy, did you see Marjorie Taylor Greene's tweet threat? No, I did not. Not good golf. Are you on Blue Sky? Yes, I am. I'm also on Threads as well. I'm all over the place. You guys can go to my website and check out all the various places that I'm at. Let's see here. You're a funny guy. This should be in comedy instead of politics. Well, I'm also a comedian, but then I also tell the truth about politics as well. I have two hats that I wear. Amy Fuller, will anyone be able to get him out of office when people finally wake up? I don't know, Amy, because so here's the thing. If Trump and Republicans do everything that they say they're going to do in Project 2025, then elections will be less fair than they are now. And they already are not fair because of Republican gerrymandering, because of the Senate map, and because of the Electoral College. And because Republicans do a lot of shitty things, like Elon Musk giving $1 million to people to vote Republican, Elon Musk sending fake Harris flyers to voters in Pennsylvania saying that she fucking loves Hamas or whatever the fuck, their fucking fake mailers and text messages that they did. Republicans close down polling locations in Democratic areas. Voter ID is a voter suppression tactic that Republicans do. You know, it's just going to get worse. So the only way that we're going to be able to get Republicans out of power now is massive voter mobilization. Like, we have to win by such a large amount that it undoes all of the fuckery and cheating that Republicans have done and, you know, are going to then, are the new things that they're going to be doing going forward. But, you know, I have faith that voting will still work. The power of our vote might be diluted, but voting is really the thing that we have that is the most effective at changing the levers of power. Now, the problem with that is that Republicans also control the media sphere. And what I mean by that is, you've got your liberal news outlets, you know, the quote-unquote liberal news outlets like Crooked and MSNBC and shit like that, which I don't even believe that they are liberal news outlets. I believe that they're just the only outlets that tell the truth about how extreme Republicans are, and they get labeled as liberal because of that. Like, oh my God, you're so biased against Republicans. Like, no, we're just showing you the extreme shit that they're doing. Then you got the mainstream media, which treats both parties as though they are the same. So they criticize Republicans and they criticize Democrats. Then you got the right-wing media, which is just criticizing Democrats and, you know, blowing up Republicans and saying how great and fucking amazing they are. And then you've got the other right-wing media channels like, you know, podcasters like Tim Pool and Ben Shapiro and all these people. All those people are fucking, you know, in the bag for Republicans and talking trash about Democrats. So if you take all of those media environments together, on the whole, you're getting people saying nice things about Republicans and bad things about Democrats. That's like the average of all the things that people are hearing. But then, on top of that, there's more insidious propaganda going on. People that say that they're leftists, people that say that they're moderates, people that say that they're independents, who are telling people, like, don't vote. It will send a message to the two-party elites that we're not happy. Don't vote for Democrats. It will make them change and become more progressive. You've got hard left podcasters out there who are taking shots at the Democratic Party and not telling people that the Republican Party is worse. They're just saying the Democratic Party sucks, which suppresses Democratic turnout. You're getting people out there who are going to spread whatever fucking misinformation that they want about Democrats losing on purpose, or they could have saved abortion if they wanted to, or, you know, I've been seeing these narratives already. I'm seeing people saying, like, you know, Donald Trump is doing some illegal shit. Why aren't Democrats doing something about it? And it's like, we don't have any fucking power to do anything about it, you know? So in addition to all those known entities that are coming after Democrats really hard, there's also all these unknown entities, these sneaky ones, the ones that are like, oh, this guy says that he's a liberal and he's got a bunch of videos about how he's a liberal and he's telling me not to vote because it will send a message to the Democratic Party that I'm unhappy and they will change because of that. So we're fighting all of that, and we're fighting funding from two of the richest fucking people to have ever existed. Elon Musk and Vladimir Putin are all in the fucking bag for Republicans, and they're just flooding the internet with all of this misinformation, disinformation, anti-Democrat propaganda. So how do we mobilize the kind of voters that we need to overcome Republican cheating when all of the narratives are anti-Democrat? I think the only way that we do that is every single one of us has to counter these narratives. We can't count on the DNC. We can't send $5 to the DNC and hope that gives them the resources that they need to fight both Putin and Elon Musk and Donald Trump and every other fucking shitty billionaire that's in the bag for Republicans. Like, there's not enough money in the world for that, you know? This is what Bernie Sanders has been yelling about. Like, the bottom 99% do not have enough money to fight the top 1%. So we all have to be the messenger. We all have to knock on doors. We all have to make phone calls. We all have to talk to our friends and family and get them to understand the value of voting and being an activated participant in our democracy, you know? That's just my theory about it. You know, I've been keyed into politics for like 20 years now, and that's just kind of what it looks like to me. If you're really worried about this stuff, there's great organizations that are out there to try to help that sort of shit, you know, Vote Save America, Run for Something, that episode of Chris Hayes' podcast that I keep on going on about how great it was. But yeah, that's the stuff that you guys should be listening to. And do not despair and do not give up, because again, that is what they want. They want you to give up and feel like things are hopeless. I'm trying to be honest about how difficult things are going to be, but it's not hopeless. I don't think it's going to be hopeless, because then they win. All right, let's see here. We got, let's see here. We got over on Twitch. Soha Gamadian says, hello, sir, today. How is the stream going? It's going pretty good, I think. What do you guys think? You think it's going pretty good? Let's see here. Jendrick Bender says, I don't know someone could be so beautiful. Hi. Oh, thank you, Jendrick Bender. I appreciate it. Havara Transfer Agreement says, I bet one of your hats is tiny. No, they're both pretty big. You know, I got a big head. All right, let's get back into these TikTok comments here. Both parties have billionaire donations, yes, but Republicans have way, 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 way more. Mrs. Britt, wait, what is the game called which rich people run over poor people? I need to do my research. No, I was just fucking around. You know, I'm just exaggerating for comedic effect. But, you know, if nothing is done about Republican authoritarianism 100 years from now, who fucking knows? Maybe there will be, you know, running people over with cars, the sport, you know. Let's see here. Mandy Kidwell Parkin, do you think the American Anti-Corruption Act will ever be enacted? Not with Republicans in charge, that's for fucking sure. Grumpy Cat, there's a movie about that. What's the name of that movie? Amy Fowler, it's a Black Mirror episode? Yeah, potentially. Let's see here. Okay. Mountain Laurel says, what about the recount? Any hope? I have not seen any substantive reporting that there is going to be a recount. You know, the only thing that I've seen is conspiracy theories on social media. So I think we need to live in a world where Donald Trump is going to be president in 2 months, you know. And I don't like it either, you know. And I will hope and pray that there is some thread out there that gets pulled, that we discover that the election was stolen, and then the decision gets reversed. But at the moment, you know, this is the reality that we're living in, you know. All right, let's see here. User, a whole bunch of numbers. You're a writer and comedian. Why should I ask you about politics? Because I know a lot about it. Lovely Tati, can we please explain the authoritarian approach to the ones who have no idea and voted it in? Yeah, you know, there's that poem that's like, first they came for the socialists, and I said nothing because I wasn't a socialist. Then they came for the communists. I said nothing because I wasn't a communist. Then they came for the African Americans, but I said nothing because I wasn't African American. Then they came for the LGBTQ community, but I said nothing because I was not LGBTQ. And then they came for me, and there was no one to speak for me, or whatever however the fuck the poem goes. Yeah, that's it. That's the whole thing with authoritarian governments. You know, eventually they will come for you, and when they do, there's not going to be anybody to stop them. Let's see here. Harvey, thoughts on Democratic commercials trying to appeal to Republican audiences? So there was a lot of polling, Harvey, before the election that said that one of the most convincing arguments for voting for Harris was that a lot of Republicans, including Republicans that worked with Trump, both in government and in his businesses, not only are they not voting for him, but they're campaigning for Democrats. And it is not because they agree with their policies, but it's because Donald Trump really is that bad. He really is that dangerous. He really is that crazy. He really is that corrupt. He really is that malleable. And so it seemed like it was a winning message. That and talking about the Dobbs decision both seemed like they were big messages. And so that is the reason why the Harris campaign was pushing both of those narratives really hard, you know? And I think that those are correct narratives. Like, I do think that it is impressive that the Cheneys came out for Harris, not because they agree with their policies, but because Trump really is that bad. I do think it's impressive that they got so many Republican voters to, you know, be in TV commercials being like, yeah, fucking, there's no way I'm voting for Trump again after the shit that he's done. And also, I think it's important to showcase the harm that Dobbs has done to women in this country, the torture that women have had to go through. I just read a story about this the other day. There's a Republican voter who found out that her pregnancy is unviable and that if she does not get an abortion, that it could take her life, it could take her fertility. And she called her state rep to find out about getting an exception for her abortion. And the guy said, no, sorry, these restrictions are there for your safety. And she was like, well, I'm going to die. My baby's already dead. I'm going to die if I don't get an abortion. And then the guy was like, well, maybe I can talk to the AG for you. And they just never heard back, So yeah, I think it had the advantage of being the narratives that should be in front of people because people should know about these things. And it also polled really well, And I don't know why whatever incumbency bias or right-wing propaganda people were seeing was more important than that, But, what are you going to do? This is America, Don't catch you slipping up. Let's see here. Jacob, how does doing this help Judaism? What are you talking about? Oh, hey, somebody's using the N-word in my live, so if you guys want to go on how to report that guy, that would be great. Oh, somebody's already blocked him. Thank you very much. Right. Grumpy Cat, if you have a chance, would you move out of the country by 2025? Yeah, me and my wife are talking about it. She's gonna, start discussing options with her employer and see what we can do. Cool Dad, it will be like Hunger Games meets Handmaid's Tale in the next 4 years. Yeah, probably. Cliff3146 says, we voted for a great governor. What state do you live in where you voted for a great governor? Sam, except those are explicitly allowed if the mother's life is in danger. Stop fear-mongering. Well, then how come women still can't get abortions even if their life is in danger, all right? There are multiple cases of this happening in Texas, in Idaho, in Georgia. 2 women have died. In Texas, 2 women have died. So what the fuck are you talking about, Sam? Are you lying on purpose? Did you fall for it? Did you fall for propaganda bullshit? Did you fall for the lies that people told you that women are safe because of these abortion bans? Are you a sucker? Are you a chump? Or are you purposefully lying? Are you spreading misinformation because you want that narrative to be out there? Alrighty, let's see here. Steve, Trump didn't have increased support this election. Why didn't numbers turn out for Harris? I have opined about this before, Steve, and I'll give you the short version. There was about 6 million votes that Biden got that Harris did not get, and I believe that some of that was incumbency bias. Every incumbent that ran in every country around the globe, whether they were right-wing or left-wing or moderate, whatever, every single one of them lost this year, and that hasn't happened since World War II. So there is an incumbency bias that happened this election year because everybody's upset about inflation. But also there's a lot of right-wing propaganda on the internet. And the voters that read the news from legacy media, they went for Harris 80%. So the other percentage of America that gets their news from social media, they were heavily influenced by right-wing propaganda narratives and also insidious anti-democratic narratives like don't vote, both parties are the same, voting doesn't do anything, if you don't vote it'll send a message, if you vote you'll be complicit in a corrupt system, shit like that. That's the reason why I think there was depressed voter turnout this year. The Honest Dad, the Democratic Party is done. It's time for the far left to get a new party. I don't know if it would be better to start a new party from scratch and try to win an election in 4 years. That's like a really long project to try to get a new party like that. Let's see here. They did that. Dems are corporate puppets with their Pfizer Raytheon sponsored news. Nope. Sorry, you're out of here, buddy. I do not care for that kind of propaganda, fake news coming out of that dude's mouth. Bido Bear. You don't start from scratch. You do what the GOP did and invade the Democratic Party and change it. I agree with that, Bido Bear, but what do you think I've been fucking yelling about for the past 8 years? Why we gotta vote in primaries. Vote in primaries, everybody. That is how you change the party. You elect the people that you want to run the party, so go do that. But, voter participation is pathetic in this country, and midterms and primaries are even worse. And so people were yelling at me all the time. They'd be like, I just fucking hate that these are our options. I'd be like, well, did you vote in the primary? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, that's where you fucking pick the options, So, yeah, that's how you do it. Kennard Rodan says, how do you know if you're a Democrat or a Republican? Well, what are the things that are important to you? Kennard, tell me what are the issues that mean the most to you, and how do you think things should change in this country. What do you think is good about this country? What do you think is bad about this country? What do you want to change? What do you want to keep the same? If you tell me that stuff, then I will tell you what party you are in. All right, let's see here. Biddle Bear, that was addressing the guy who was talking about starting a new party. Oh, yeah, sorry. Sorry. Sometimes I can get a little spicy on here, you know. I do my best to be chill. Let's see here. Olivivid, is there any way for Trump to carry out a mass deportation without infringing on amendment rights? I mean, you know, what are we talking about? We're talking about, according to the Supreme Court that is run by right-wing extremists who are fully in the bag for the Republican Party, or are we talking about what the ACLU would consider infringing on amendment rights? Because in the one, I think, you know, for the former, the answer is yes, because the SCOTUS is going to say that Trump is fine whatever what he does. Where the latter is concerned, the ACLU is going to say no, because it obviously is an infringement on our First Amendment rights. Let's see here. Sarah White, what countries are you thinking about moving to? Had this conversation with Mojave last night. I mean, any country that has universal health care is going to be high on my list. Any country that speaks English is going to be high on my list. You know, I'm fully willing to learn another language to get the fuck out of Dodge, but you know, it is important for my wife that we make this as easily as humanly possible. So I believe that we're thinking about any place where she has a foreign office that she could easily transfer to. But yeah, you know, I think universal healthcare is probably the one thing where I would be like, that is where I'm going to start my search, you know. Yeah, I'm looking for, what's his name, who asked me if he was a Republican or a Democrat, and it does not seem like he is. Kennard! Have you responded yet, Kennard? Family, work, and future. You're going to need to be a little bit more specific about that. When you say family, do you mean like anti-LGBTQ? When you say work, do you mean anti-union or do you mean pro-union? When you say future, do you mean protecting America from the oncoming climate apocalypse? Do you mean investing in green technology? Or do you mean like Elon Musk shit, you know, like AI and Cybertrucks? Let's see here. Danny, I'm looking at places in San Bernardino right now, better than Florida. I mean, you know, blue states like California and New York, I think, are going to be the last affected, but they will be affected. You know, like there's only so much that governors can do. Let's see here. If you are anti-union, you're anti-worker. I agree with that. Angie T, they started so much a tsunami you can't talk to people to warn them. I'm not really sure what you mean by that. Denaturalization is an inarguable example of violating the Constitution. Yes, but then, you know, it really depends on who's interpreting that Constitution, you know, because there are a lot of things that the right-wing Supreme Court has done that lawyers are like, this is so obviously anti-constitutional, like what the fuck are you guys doing? But the ethos of the Republican Party is we do what we want. And then we find we rationalize it afterwards. Terry Terrific says, is the new department with Elon even legal? Can they touch Social Security, etc.? Elon can't, because you can't create a department. You can create a committee, but you need Congress to create a department. Now the Republicans have Congress, so they can create a department if they want, if they vote on it. But just as it stands, there's no department. It's a committee. So yeah, he has actually no power in government at the moment, except for, you know, having Trump's ear. And, you know, that is, in an authoritarian government, that's really all you fucking need. So yeah, he can just ask Daddy Trump to do things for him and give him like $1 billion in exchange for doing shit for him. But yeah, but you know, but I think that the Republican Party is fully in control of the government right now. They're fully in bed with being authoritarian, and so can they touch Social Security? Absolutely, 100% they can. Let's see here. What do you think about Robert Kennedy? He's a liar and he is a fraud. Bit of bear. If the people at the top decide to ignore the Constitution, it just disappears. Yeah, that's what we call a constitutional crisis. Angie 2. So what order do you think they'll go in for getting rid of people? I don't even want to think about that. That's just going to make me sad. Let's see here. How does Pelosi get away with her stock trades? It is currently legal for people that work in government to trade stocks using insider information. The Democratic Party is working against that, but there are certain people in the Democratic Party, like Nancy Pelosi, who believe that you should be able to trade stocks even if you are in government. The Republican Party does not want to stop that because they don't give a shit about corruption. Let's see here. Jason Abrego says, how do you feel about biological men in women's sports. I generally come down on the side of marginalized communities. The issue of trans women participating in trans sport is so tiny. It affects so few people. Voting on that, I think, is bananas. And honestly, like, we got bigger fish to fry. If you really want to do something about it, like, fucking, let's start a new league where everybody competes together, and it's based on talent and ability as opposed to what sex or gender you are. But I'm never gonna come out and say that, like, you know, a marginalized community has it too easy, you know, or like they're cheating in sports or some shit like that. Let's see here. All right, you are out of here. Sam, murder affects so few people, but you could still care about it. Grumpy Cat, would I be safer if I changed my voter registration to be Republican instead of Democrat? I'm not going to tell you to do that. I think that there is a world in which the government starts going after dissenting voices. And so, you know, there's not a lot of things that I would tell people not to do because they seem like, I wouldn't worry about that. That's probably not going to happen, you know, but I'm not confident that shit like that won't happen. So I'm not going to tell you to do it. You know, it does feel a little bit like giving up before they make you give up. You know what I mean? Like the authoritarian governments, they want people to do shit like that. They want them to be afraid. They want people to acquiesce before they're forced to acquiesce. So, you know, I'm actually going to go back on that thing that I just said. You know, I don't think that you should do that, you know, because it's just going to give the Republican Party more power. And I don't think that we should be, you know, making things easier for them. I don't think that we should be further empowering them. Let's see here. Kel, do you think our freedom of speech will be taken away? I think it 100% is threatened by the Republican Party. They're already talking about it. They're already talking about, like, you know, censoring news organizations that don't, you know, put forward stories that are just glowing praise of the Republican Party and Daddy Trump, you know. Clay Lover, don't know if the Trump administration will succeed deporting naturalized citizens. Well, Clay Lover, I don't really know what's stopping him. You know, he could declare a state of emergency. The only two bodies that could stop him are the SCOTUS and Congress. He doesn't have full support of Congress. Like, there are some, you know, senators, and there's not 2/3 Republicans in the House and the Senate, but, you know, you would need 2/3 to stop him. And you would need SCOTUS to stop him. And, you know, I don't believe that either of those bodies have that ability. You know, I don't really put it past Republicans to allow that to happen. You know, and they have enough seats in government to stop Democrats from having a 2/3 veto-proof majority. So yeah, it's very scary. It's very scary to think about. Let's see here. Do you think concentration camps in the U.S. is a real possibility? I mean, if I say yes, then people are going to think that I'm being doomerist and stuff like that. But, like, that's what they're talking about. Like, they're talking about setting up camps. You know, like, that's what they're saying they're going to do. You know, you listen to some of the shit that Stephen Miller is talking about, you know, like, that's what he's saying that he wants to happen, you know, and there are very few roadblocks keeping them from doing things. So, you know, like I don't think it's going to happen on day one, but, you know, like, I don't see what's stopping them except for if they want to or not, you know? Yeah, I don't know. It's very scary. It's very scary to think about. Let's see here. Bits and Lisa says they already awarded contracts for camps. You know, I don't know if that's true, but it tracks. You know, it makes sense to me. I mean, it makes sense why all the private prison stocks would jump because of that, you know? Yeah, it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. But again, let's talk about the things that we can do. You know, let's talk about being active participants in democracy. Let's talk about going to organizations like Run for Something or Indivisible or, you know, Vote Save America, and following people like AOC who are on the front lines of organizing against our authoritarian overlords. You know, like, there is stuff that you can do. And, you know, if you got gas in the tank, then you should, and you want to do stuff, then you should do stuff, 100%. B plus one says, did Trump have a Republican majority Congress in 2016? Yes, he did. But the Republicans that were in the majority were not as MAGA as they are now. Like, you had a lot of Republicans who were firmly against Donald Trump, like Jeff Flake and Liz Cheney and Mitt Romney and Adam Kinzinger. Those people have been purged for the party. Poor John McCain passed away. So, yeah, and those people have all been replaced with right-wing MAGA psychopaths like Matt Gaetz and, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and, all those ding-dongs. Let's see here. Start planting gardens, stock your pantry. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad that's a bad idea at all. Grumpy Cat, what is dark MAGA? That's Elon Musk being a ding dong. Let's see here. Vance was never Trumper 2 years ago, and I think he will flip if Trump dies. I do not think that he will flip. He wants to inherit the MAGA crowd. So, there's no fervency, there's no passion behind traditional, Republicans. It's Trump's party now, and if you want the kind of passion that motivates, however many votes he got, 75 million or something, people to come out in a presidential election year, you need the MAGA base. And so if Trump kicks it, then everybody's going to be fighting for those people. They're all going to be, trying to do their best Trump impression. And, I think, honestly, the two people who have the best chance of inheriting that crowd are Don Jr. and Ivanka. Let's see here. Finn Diesel says liberals are done. I don't think that they are. I'm a liberal. I'm not done. Sam, AOC shouldn't be allowed in Congress. Anyone who's pro-socialism should be barred from office. Well, I don't think that you should be allowed in my live. You're barred from my live for saying silly things like that. Worst thing to touch a guitar. Could I be brought up? My question is a bit long-winded. I don't bring people up. Worst thing. But the comments have calmed down a little bit. So if you put things, I'll probably see it. But yeah, I'm going to... Oh, motherfucker. I forgot to hit the fucking live button on Facebook. All right. Well, sorry, Facebook. Let's see here. Social programs are very, very important. They are, and we're going to find out exactly how important they are soon. Let's see here. We saw how internet has changed the way campaigns advertise. Yeah, the internet has 100% changed things. All right. Let's see here. Oh, is that what your question was, Michael? Is that what you wanted to be brought up for? Who wanted to be brought up? Oh, worst thing to touch a guitar, want to be brought up. That is a very long question, Michael. That is a very long answer to that question. Kelly Renee, do I ever take calls? Like, you want to call my phone and ask me and have like a private conversation, or did you want to come up on the live and like talk to me about shit on the live? Because I'm gonna say I'm leaning towards no on both of those, Kelly Renee. I don't know. I used to do interviews, but they weren't very popular, and so I don't know. I think I kind of prefer monologizing instead, I think. Let's see here. Worst thing to touch a guitar. All right, why should I vote in a federal election? I grew up on the internet watching scandals. Okay. Worst thing to touch a guitar. So here's the thing. If you don't vote in a federal election, the person that you hate the most gets a vote. So clearly you would have an opinion, right, on who would be better, whether it's candidate A or candidate B. If you were going to vote for candidate A, who you like better, but you don't because you don't like all the corruption in government, then that is a vote for candidate B. So let your voice be heard. Like get involved in the process. Get some skin in the game, man. Because corruption doesn't get solved by people not voting. It gets solved by people voting. What's up, Tony T. Mandrake? How's it going? Good to see you. Let's see here. What's the best type of government in your opinion? I mean, democracy seems pretty good. I kind of like democracy. All right, listen. I'm gonna do my outro, and then I'm gonna start fielding final questions. So if you got a question, now's the time to put it. I want to thank everybody for being here on this live. I really appreciate all the likes, all the shares, all the gifts and everything. If you like my stuff and you want to see more, go to my website, jarrettberenstein.com. That is where I have all my tour dates. Is where I have my live schedule. You can hit me up. You can send me an email. You can join my Patreon. You can go to my spring store. I've only got 2 items on there right now, but they're bangers, so you can definitely check that out. But I appreciate all the support that you guys can give me. If it's the free kind, like likes and shares, or if it's the money kind, like gifts, Patreon, spring store, crap like that. But what was I going to say? Something something. I'm having a brain fart moment. Support sharing. Oh, I have a video up right now. It's kind of dying in the algorithm, so I would appreciate it if everybody who's watching this will like it and share it, because I think that it is very important information about anti-democratic narratives that are out there in the world. So yeah, I'm having gum surgery tomorrow, which is exactly as fun as it sounds. So I will probably be on here early if I am at all, and then I will be, I don't know, out for however long it takes for me to recover. So I'll probably be back on Tuesday if I don't stream tomorrow, but I'll definitely not be back on Thursday. But my regular schedule is usually Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and sometimes I augment that with a Friday every now and again, because I really do like doing these, and I like answering questions about politics and talking about politics. And I know that I come on here and I answer these questions and things can get a little dark and, very upsetting, but I just want to remind you guys that there is hope out there. There is work that can be done. We can help and we can take this country back. And if you give up, then they win. That is what they want. They want you to be despondent. They want you to be cynical. They want you to go, what the fuck does it even matter if I vote? They're just going to cheat, shit like that. Don't take your foot off the gas. Do not take your hand off the wheel. When you release the wheel and you say, you guys have power. I don't care. Then the shittiest people take power and they do shitty things. So, Vote Save America, Run for Something, AOC, Indivisible, like all the great organizations that fight authoritarian governments. And my DMs are open, and you can email me through my website if there's anything that you want to ask me that I did not get to on this live stream. All right, let's see here. All right, let's find a... Thank you, Kelly Renee. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Ron P. What will abolishing the Department of Education do? It will eliminate funding for programs that help people. So people with disabilities, people that don't speak English as their first language, people who come from poor families, poor communities. It will hurt those people a lot. And the quality of public education will be in the fucking gutter. And so if you want your children to get a good education, you're going to have to pay through the nose to get a private education, private school. Commie pussy. Ooh, okay. The Russian propaganda that we are not a democracy, that narrative? I don't know what you're talking about, commie pussy. Let's see here. All right. Ron P. Will Trump hand Ukraine over to Putin? Yes. Vin Diesel. Most of Trump guys are former Democrats. Sure. Okay. I don't know what you're trying to prove there, Finn. David Keyser said, is there still strategic significance to opposing a diplomatic end to war in Ukraine? I mean, if you're Zelensky, you just got to do whatever is right for your people, and if, there's really nothing that America can do at this point, we've given them a bunch of support. Trump is going to come in and cancel all of that support. So, Zelensky's got to do what he's got to do. Maribel, a.k.a. Maribel, says, do you think Trump will stop all bilingual languages from being taught? I think that he will probably, that it seems pretty low on the list, honestly. But I think that if there are Republicans out there who think that we should not be, trying to make things easier for people who don't speak English, and they will do whatever they can to make things harder for people that don't speak English. Let's see here. All right, let's find a final question. Let's see here. RHM said, how bad did it feel when your mom voted for Trump? She didn't vote for Trump. RHM, because she's a good person. You already got muted already. Fantastic. Let's see here. Sam, not sure what is so crazy about deporting criminals. Well, he's not just talking about deporting criminals. He's talking about deporting lots of different kinds of people, indiscriminately. Do you know that there was a movement during, I think the 1930, early 1900s, I forget exactly when it happened, called Operation Insert derogatory term for Hispanics here, where 50% of the people that they deported were legal U.S. citizens. My wife, she is half Mexican, and she had a relative who was regularly deported and had to come back into this country time and time again, which, that sucks. It's not just inconvenient. Like, that hurts your pocketbook, So yeah, you can miss me with that shit. All right, let's see here. Any final questions? Let's see here. Ian, you're speaking my language, Ian. If he can, he will. That is what will happen. Yeah. Brian Hennessy. Well, luckily that was 100 years ago, LOL. Well, yeah, that's all the policies that Republicans want. They want to go back. That's the entire fucking point, Brian, is they're like, why don't we make it so that abortion is back the way that it was in the 1970s? Why don't we make it so that voting is the way that it was for black people in the 1940s, you know? They just keep on going back. So yeah, you can miss me with that shit. All right. I'm going to get out of here, everybody. Thank you again for all the comments. Thank you again for all the likes and all the gifts and everything. And I might be here tomorrow if I can, but otherwise I will see you next week. Have an excellent rest of your week, everybody. Stay strong. Do the work. And I will see you soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye.